You ever feel like no matter how hard you work, your business just won't grow? Like you're doing everything right, but it's still not clicking? Well, Blake felt the same running Vesta Foundation Solutions until one lesson about leadership and culture took him from $0 to $15 million.
Heck, look around. There's people miserable in their jobs every day, but they're there because they need the money, right? So rewards the employee. It's not just like, hey, you did great last week, here's a pizza party. Because studies have shown culture will help, but when it really comes down to it, money is a driving force in the decision for where we work. Performance pay is something we've always done.
If you could go back to that time with all the stuff that you know now, what are a couple of things that you would have implemented in the business to keep company culture and maybe right the ship for that business before it kind of went south?
For me personally, number one is
Welcome back to the Built Local podcast. Today we have Will from Vesta Foundation Solutions, and he's been in the industry for over 20 years. He's helped over 3 businesses scale from 7 to 8 figures in revenue and getting them to that 7-figure mark. And if you look him up in the industry, he is kind of a big deal for sure. And we'll also get into a bunch of other cool things that he does. He runs a nonprofit for middle schoolers, helping them show that hey, there's money in the trades and college isn't the only thing you have to do. And his latest challenge that he's taking on is performance.io, which we will touch on later, helping businesses with performance pay for their employees. So Will, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm great. I don't know when this airs, but it's Friday, and Fridays obviously just everybody walks a little lighter. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're walking a little lighter because it's Friday. But yeah, man, I wish I was in the nice climate of Florida like you are. But hey, fall is on the way. It's feeling amazing. So yeah, I'm good.
Yes, we just started getting some fall weather here in Florida, which is incredibly exciting. It makes every day a little bit better to go outside because you don't sweat when you're going to your car. Well, we're excited about that. But the first thing I wanted to ask you is, can you explain foundation repair, waterproofing, all the stuff that y'all do to me like I'm a golden retriever? Can you just give me the lowdown?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, first off, it's the sexiest of all the trades, of course, out there. Right. Following is like electrical and HVAC and all that. But no. Yeah. So we have an aging infrastructure with our homes, and obviously things all sit on soil and ground. And as things tend to shrink, swell, move, all of that, then so does your home. And of course, that provides a need for repair. So foundation repair is kind of a broad industry that can scale really from concrete pouring to concrete repair all the way to the actual foundation, or what a lot of folks call stem wall repair, where a home is moving in an uniform way. And then of course we're the type of people that come in and attach technology and brackets and hydraulics to it and lift it and put it back together. So of course I came out of the womb thinking, man, I can't wait to grow up and be a foundation repair guy. But and here I am. And, it's a cool industry. We've got 82 employees running around, probably fixing about 46 homes a week. And yeah, man, once you get into it, there's no escape. You're in it. So
that's incredible. And it is honestly a lot different than most of the people we have on. They are in poop scooping, pressure washing, car detailing, maybe something that's a little bit more simple. Yeah, that sounds like you got people's homes on the line there. So it sounds a little bit complex at times. But how did you get into it? What led you there?
Well, I'll try to give you the abbreviated version. Of course, in high school, I learned how to play a musical instrument because, you don't do it for the musical aspects. You do it to, get dates, right? So I learned how to play drums at a very young age and had the luxury and the privilege of being a small little asterisk in my life. This is going to sound like Forrest Gump, Clay, so bear with me. But at age 17, got signed as a musician in a little emo alternative rock band. We thought we were going to be rock stars, right? We started touring and doing all this stuff. And then, of course, my now wife of 21 years, my then girlfriend, my wife, Sydney, we were like, oh, crap, we're going to have a kid. And that was at 20. And it was like, oh, wow, I have responsibilities in life. And of course, my father was a general contractor, and I grew up building houses with him in the mountains of North Carolina. And that was the thing that I went back to. I said, all right, well, I know how to use power tools and I know how to fix houses. So this is what I'm going to do. And I started out of a little $800 Chevy Astro van, which, yes, it looks as bad as you're picturing in your mind, Clay. It was defined as a free candy van. It was not allowed within 500 feet of a school. It was a rust bucket. It was horrible. But I paid $800 cash for this van. And I would sell projects and essentially go repair the projects on my own. I did that for 3 years. And I was just raising a family, trying to be responsible. And then I met a gentleman that was trying to retire. We merged our business together, and we grew it from 300,000 a year up to 9 million in revenue a year in the first 7 years. And that was my first lesson in contract law. And really what happened is we split up that business relationship. I, number one, was young and I was just a poor leader and didn't understand how to run a business. My business partner did the right thing. And of course, at the time, it was devastating. I was 28 years old and, oh my gosh, the world's going to end. But my wife and I we helped other companies that we got to know in the industry, specific to foundation and waterproofing. And we bounced around. We actually helped a very good friend of ours of the company in Virginia. Mind you, Clay, when we got there to help them, I was the VP of operations. They were doing 33 million a year and already had like 250 employees. It was just a madhouse. And we scaled that company up to about 77 million over the next 3.5 years. And they sold to private equity. And it was kind of interesting because I didn't know what private equity really was then, but we got to meet their team, all good people. However, it just wasn't meant for us, Sydney and I. We were like, you know what, we're going to help you transition. We just kind of want to go back to running our own operation again. So we looked at open markets around the country, found some great underserved markets, and Oklahoma City was on that list.
Yeah.
And to any of your listeners, wherever you're at, Oklahoma City, man, it's a cool city. It's a hidden gem, nice people. We don't get 4 seasons here, but we get 2 intense ones, specifically summer and summer. But we started our company 9 years ago and just doing the same thing we've always done. And we just fix houses, try to empower our employees and have fun doing it. And we do about 15 million in our business now and just having fun.
Wow. Hey, real quick, before we get back to the video, if you're a local business owner and you're serious about getting more customers from Google, I want to invite you to our free school community linked down below. Inside, you'll get weekly coaching calls where I can personally help you one-on-one so you're never stuck wondering what to do next to get more customers. Once you join, we'll give you a custom-built ranking report to show you exactly how you're ranking against your competitors, and then we'll even show you the next couple things you can do to start ranking higher. We do all of these reports manually to make sure they're done right. You'll get our 50,000 Google review script, the same script we've used to help hundreds of businesses get over 50,000 reviews, showing you what to say, when to request the review, how to follow up and get that review without being annoying or awkward. And you'll even get a step-by-step checklist on how to optimize your Google Business profile to make sure you're ranking at the top of Google. Sometimes just making a few tweaks on that Google Business profile can be the difference between never showing up on Google and dominating your area. All in all, you'll get access to a community of business owners and experts trying to grow their business just like you. It's a safe space to ask questions and get more tailored one-on-one advice. It's 100% free. I don't have a coaching program or a course to sell you. Just click the link down below, join the community. We'd love to see you inside. Okay, my first question is, you find out that your now wife is pregnant. I heard that one of your wedding regrets is that y'all did not get a photo of her dad holding a shotgun. That's what I heard.
Yeah, well, I need to frame my mind as a 20-year-old that's about to have a kid and getting married. I was shell-shocked. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just going to be a parent now, I guess, and I have to do that. But now as I've aged, our biggest regret was not getting a picture of Sydney's dad, George, with a shotgun, because that's what it was, really. But we had been dating for several years already, but that was our biggest regret. But, when you're 20 and scared to death about what the hell the world holds, having the father-in-law holding a gun behind you for a picture op didn't come to mind at the time. But now with AI, I could probably go back and just have it photoshopped in.
100%. You can make that happen nowadays. Easy peasy. Yeah. But if we fast forward though, seven or 8 years, now you've grown that business from like, hey, I've got to make ends meet and provide for my family, to now a $9 million a year business. As a 27, 28-year-old, how did you keep your head on your shoulders? Because I'm sure that mine would have been about 2 feet wide. You know what I'm saying? How did you kind of hold it in the same ballpark?
Well, that's part of the reason my business partner and I split up, was because my hubris, if you will, was getting the best of me. And, that was probably one of the defining factors in my life as a young person. I'm really glad it happened in my younger days. Of course, I still screw it up today, to be clear, but I carry it a little bit better. But having something that you built taken away from you because of your direct actions as a leader is like, dude, that was the piece of humble pie I needed in my life. And if it weren't for that, I don't think I would be anywhere I'm at today. It's funny, my team, they know me as the patron saint of screwing it up. And I'm now of the fact of like, if we're going to screw it up, like screw it up so bad that you can brag about it. Like screw it up like a Texan. Texans, like if they screw something up, they like brag about how bad they screwed it up. So that's kind of how we bring it to the table now. But, obviously mistakes are costly. Don't screw it up so bad that you go bankrupt. But, that was one of those things that I needed in my young life that taught me about like leadership and
Yeah.
how to manage money and people in an organization. Cause that's it. Like a company is just a collection of people all moving in the same direction, hopefully. And they need to be led well and they need to be managed and protected by good financial acumen.
Yeah.
And, there's nothing sacred in home services systems and processes. There aren't. And it's just a matter of implementing and keeping the culture intact.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And if you, like you said, it was probably a good thing that happened to you at that age. But if you could go back to, that time with all the stuff that you know now, what are a couple of things that you would have implemented in the business to keep company culture and maybe, right the ship for that business before it kind of went south?
Yeah. So looking back, for me personally, number one is, there's a lot of different leadership books out there. I want to be clear. And I'm not saying that one's right or wrong over the other, but, the first thing is, I think of like the best selling leadership book out there is John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And the first chapter is called Law of the Lid, meaning that organization will never scale beyond the leader. And that is probably the most powerful chapter out of the entire book. It's the first one. So like, that's the first one, is like being able to look in the mirror and saying, hey, am I at the level that I need to be in the organization? And this is a tough place. If you're doing $200,000 a year, you are the entire organization, right? But a lot of us want to grow. And when you start to hit 1.5 million and above, you have to start bringing people in. And most construction companies, we weren't taught to be leaders and HR people and payroll people and all this, but you just got to start leveling it up. It's like a Pokemon, man. You just kind of have to keep evolving, right? But, now what we didn't have years ago, and sorry, just for disclosure, I'm 41 years old now as of this recording. So I'm going to go back, a little about 15 years ago. We were still advertising in like yellow pages. All right. Yeah. So we didn't have readily available access to so many systems and processes. Like now, every billionaire and bum have access to the same information. So if you're struggling with processes, like they're out there, and just use them. And I think the other thing, like, is understand how money flows through the business. There's so many businesses out there, and studies have shown, when you scale from 3 to 5 million in revenue, that is typically the hardest financial point or stress in a home services company. The reason being is your indirect overhead is going up. You're bringing on staff that is not directly involved in the work, but they're support staff, managers, call center people, things like that. And then also you have to expand your marketing. And then all of a sudden what happens is the profit goes away. And it's like, you know what? This sucks. Like, I want to go back to being small because I was making more money. Yeah. And that statistically is why there's so many smaller home service companies, which is fine, to be clear. But most go into that 3 to 5 million not realizing that hurt is coming, and it's best to prepare for it. And that specific window has happened in every single business that I've been a part of, and ones that I consult with Greg Crabtree, he's an author of a great book. I won't try to slaughter the name. We'll maybe put it in the show notes. Yeah. But he calls this specific area the black hole. And I'm like, man, these authors always make these daunting names out of these things. It's like, I'm not trying to throw the ring back into the Mount Doom here. I just want to grow my business, right? But they have these names. So yeah, like understanding leadership, number one, how business or the establishing systems and processes, which is way easier now. But then lastly, like, how is money flowing through my business, and knowing how to use that appropriately to where you get out the other end with profit.
Okay, so what did that look like for you when you were young, learning like, how do I manage this money? It sounds like, I think we talked about this on our call last week, and because we're Will and I are in the same community for our software, trying to help grow our software businesses, and we talked about something about money and the books, and I was like, I'm ignorant, So how did you learn the lesson of like, all right, here's where we make the money, here's where all the places it goes, here's how we make sure we squirrel away some for ourselves?
Well, in the past, a lot of screw up and assuming that I knew what it was right. The second mistake I made was thinking my CPA knew what was right. And I think a lot of contractors do this where they don't question what the CPA or their accountant says. But what I learned when I really started to take it off and learn the most, and we know this about leadership and networking, is I try to find the best people in the industry in my space and be like, can you show me how you do it? And then just listen. Like, okay, why? Why do you do it this way? And why do you do that in another way? And just taking that, and well, Clay, I think you see this. Most successful business owners are happy to give advice to other aspiring business owners.
Sure.
And if they're not, they're probably just a jerk and move on. You'll find another one, right? And so that was the number one thing, was finding other people that had already done it, and then understanding the why behind it rather than monkey see, monkey do. Just like, okay, let me understand. And then lastly, there's a great book. If you're a contractor out there, Martin Holland wrote a great book called The Profit Problem. It is 100% about understanding the financials in your construction company. By far the most powerful book. It's on Amazon. I don't get a royalty for saying that. It's just brought that much value to the world, especially to contractors. So you could read just the first 4 chapters of that book and know more than 95% of contractors about how money works in your business.
Wow. Okay. That's great insight there. And you mentioned a couple times to me, and I think I saw in other videos, that scaling a business like you've done, you took your first business from 300,000 a year to 9 million with that other guy. And then you went and did 33 to 70 and they sold. And now you've gone from 0 to 15 with Vesta. So you know how to scale these businesses. And you've mentioned how it's like the scene in where, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, where the bank robbers come down and money's flying out the window. And that's what scaling a business is like. And money's just going. But we've talked about the importance of financials. So how, when you are scaling from 0 to 9 million a year, 0 to 15, how do you keep a pulse on, hey, yes, we are scaling. Yes, there might be some things where money's flying out the window, but yes, this is still right. And we still need to do this.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. I think if, rather than looking at the night sky and trying to pick out the stars, I could give you 20 different things. I think the number one metric that would be helpful for any home service contractor not tracking this through scaling is what we call the spread. Okay. So essentially, and you can do this just on a spreadsheet if you want, take your cash on hand plus your accounts receivable minus your accounts payable. And you want that number to consistently be going up. Like, understanding that first is super, super powerful, because we do get caught in home services companies that are asset heavy, meaning we have to order a lot of product, that we tie up a lot of our money in things that aren't cash, meaning it's tied up in equipment, it's tied up in inventory or products that we're about to sell to a customer. And then of course, just stuff that's laying around that we don't get full use out of in our business. So I would start with spread. And then secondly is revenue per full-time employee, because that will fluctuate. And every industry's got a pretty specific set of metrics. And gosh, you can search this on ChatGPT. But, if you're at the bottom end of that threshold, knowing your revenue per full-time employee is going to tell you if you're running around healthy or not. Because we're all driving a vehicle called a business. It just depends on if you're driving a Prius or you're driving a dump truck. It's all about the efficiency. And the last one, if you are financing a lot in your businesses to scale, you need to measure your debt to equity ratio. It is massively important to know that, because it's easy to say, well, we'll just get that truck and it costs us $1,200 a month and we'll make X. Well, then they turn around a few years later in a downturn and they realize that they're insolvent as a company. And we saw a lot of companies do this during COVID when we were all stuck at home. And what do you know? Home services went crazy. So it's just kind of wild. Those 3 right there are super powerful just to keep an eye on, and they can be done through a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Real quick, if you're a local business owner and you want to start getting customers from Google, you know how important Google reviews are. Every week, I talk to business owners just like you across hundreds of industries who know reviews matter, but never seem to have the time or the system in place to actually get them. That's exactly why I've spent the last 2 years building Review Harvest. We built it with a non-tech savvy business owner in mind, so anybody can set it up in minutes and start getting reviews today. It automates the process of getting real reviews from your customers, responding to those reviews, and repurposing them across your website and across your social media platforms. It's a set it and forget it software. You can get it all set up in about 10 minutes and you never have to worry about reviews again. We can integrate into the tools you're already using, so you don't have to change a thing. You don't have to train your team on how to request reviews. You don't have to request them manually. You get customers, we get your reviews. It's simple as that. And the first play in our playbook is what we call a review reactivation. You probably have hundreds or thousands of previous customers who loved your service but never left your review. So a lot of times our users can double or even triple their reviews just in the first couple months of working with us when we do that review reactivation. You have grown all these businesses and you scaled them. And obviously, if you want to grow a business and you want to make more money, you've got to do some form of marketing and sales and get people to pay you, right? And so give us the rundown on what has been your playbook to grow these businesses from a marketing and sales perspective.
Yeah, and it's funny, we know a lot of people that either have products or specialize in marketing and sales. So there's a lot out there. But number one is in home services, services. Branding is very important, obviously. Dan Antonelli, he's been on my podcast. He's wrote a great book called Branded, Not Blanded. And setting a clear understanding of what you offer is really important. And I want to use myself as a case study. Vesta is the Roman goddess that protects home and hearth. Obviously, we fix foundations. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows what the hell it means. So it's like, it sounds cool, but that was not very good in branding. But when it comes to marketing, like we are very data analytics and lead gen driven. You know, it's very simple. I need X amount of leads to get this many appointments, to get this many estimates, to get this many sales. If you know that conversion train, you know exactly what you have to put into the top of that machine. And then, of course, you just refine it. So I look at marketing like a diversified stock portfolio. Just went over this with a company in New York yesterday. And I have 46 different marketing products that we advertise just in my Oklahoma City metro here. Now, some are not getting me anything, but some are getting me good returns. And on average, we look at, hey, what's our cost per lead and spend? And when we average those, we get rid of the bad ones after a few months, and then we just introduce new ones. And we're constantly moving that around. So we have everything from home shows to Google to LSA to heck, billboards to over-the-top television, and we just continuously scale that little by little. And then, of course, we have to train our people to be good at estimating and delivering good, remarkable services to our customers so they say yes and get work. And if you just rinse and repeat that process over and over, you'll get the work. Yeah. And, just try not to be overzealous. We see a lot of companies, they get, let's say, $5,000 in Google advertising, and then all of a sudden they want to go to television. And it's like, well, hold on. Whoa. Are all of your trucks properly decaled and branded first? Is everybody wearing a uniform that is that's labeled and clear to understand? Yeah. Are you advertising in local home and garden shows? I'm a big believer in it. They're back, man. After COVID, like they got wiped out, but we convert tons out of there. Do you have people that can actually answer the phones quickly and to every customer? So like check those simple one-offs before we start going crazy and say, hey, we just need more leads, because you can get more leads, but if you can't convert them, it's like you're just flushing money down the commode. Well, and you see this, Clay. Review Harvest is such a cool tool because it's naturally driving down marketing costs because they're getting more reviews. And then all of a sudden it's like the phone starts ringing more, but they're missing the calls, right? And man, it's like, dude, let's get those calls because, man, you're getting them at a lower rate than if somebody saw, an advertising in the local paper. But yeah, that's kind of my method around marketing in general.
Sure. Well, and it's like plugging the holes before you dump a whole bunch of water in the bucket. So let's plug some of the holes first before we and you're never gonna plug every single hole, but let's plug the big gaping ones, before. But and this is just curious. I think this would be really beneficial for the audience to know. Let's say, I know you said your marketing channels are very diversified, but let's say you can only get one. You only had one for the next year. What mark channel are you using? And you can like take it. You don't have to worry about the decals and like the branding stuff. Like that's a given. You're gonna have branding and all that stuff, but just purely channels. Where are you going? Yeah.
So if I only had one and I was only by myself, like you are your brand at that point. And business development mindset is going to get you way better results if you are the only person in one channel. And what I mean by that is being involved in local trade groups, referral groups, sponsoring that little event at the fundraiser that celebrates the Habitat for Humanity, things like that. So, I mean, just by being in those, I know when we first started Vesta, our website was ramping up. So we weren't getting leads. Yeah. Imagine going, Clay, from a $77 million a year company to zero. It was sketch, bro. It was like, wait a minute, it's so quiet. It's like, there's no phones ringing. So I remember the first 2 weeks, I was in 4 referral groups every single day for 6 weeks straight. And like, I was meeting people and then they just top of mind. And then it's just like, boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, we were running 40 leads a month. And then Google kicked in and it was like, okay, cool. I need to hire 2 salespeople. And then like we were building off that foundation, bad pun, of course. But yeah, business development mindset. I think we get away from that as we grow our businesses and we just rely on Google to get us more leads. And it's like, man, what are you doing in your backyard to be 5 Mile famous before you're just giving it to, some massive search engine? Yeah, for sure. Being 5 Mile famous is still so underrated. Like it is still, there's enough people, and as long as you're not in the boonies, there's enough people in 5 miles of you where you can make plenty of money with your business. But I'm curious, after doing it twice, you had the one in North Carolina and then you went to Virginia and scaled that one. Was there at any point in the OKC in the Oklahoma City with Vesta where you doubted that you were going to be able to do it, that you were going to be able to scale it again to 8 figures? Oh, that was like every day,
Okay.
for like the first 6 months, I think. Actually, what's funny is like, I remember on our first year, it was just, if you're a contractor listening to this, we've all been there. Okay. It's like showed up in the morning, the power outs in the building, 3 guys no showed. And it's like, oh, by the way, the customer canceled and wants a refund. Like all of this converging. Oh, and by the way, the shipment that I ordered 2 weeks ago is not there. So I can't even install a job that I was hoping to get cash out of today. And it was just like, screw it. But I'll never forget. I can't remember if it was Gary Vaynerchuk or maybe Grant Cardone or something.
Mhm.
And I was listening to a podcast and they were like, the number one reason all companies go out of business is because they don't have enough sales. And that just went through my head all the time. Now, as I've matured, I know that that's not exactly all true. But that's what drove me. And just making sure is like, as long as we have a backlog bill, that's security for us. And in
Yeah.
my business, I'm not like garage doors where like if they get a job like or a call, they have to be there within the next day. Otherwise it's gone.
Yeah.
In my business, it's very common for us to have a 6 to 8 week backlog of work waiting for us. And that allows us to control the throttle. So that was going through my head every day for like the first 6 months. And I was getting paranoid schizophrenia, when it was like, wait a minute, I don't have to run 3 leads today. Like I can actually relax. So,
Yeah.
but that's when the processes kicked in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And you talked a lot about employees and company culture and other, podcasts and stuff that you've been on, and how that's one of the most important things to you and your business and your growth is, kind of fostering that. So when did you learn that lesson when it was solidified, like, oh, it's about people, right? And then how have you implemented that in Vesta to, foster a good company culture?
We'd always known it for a while, Sydney and I both, even before Vesta. And I think that was one thing that really stuck with us after seeing that one business transition to private equity is the culture shifted tremendously. And that was okay. That's their business and that's how they wanted to operate it. But it didn't feel right to us because also, in the work that we do, like we spend more time with our coworkers than sometimes our family, right? So we might as well enjoy where we're at. That doesn't mean it's always perfect, but that was always a big focus of ours. And then, there's several books out there. I mean, Simon Sinek, practically all of his books are, about company, workplace, and culture. So that's just always been something that's embedded in who we are as a business. I am also a big believer of like, you've probably heard it, Clay, like people don't remember, they remember how you treated them, right? It's one of those where if we give even an employee a good experience about where they work, they're going to remember that and they're either going to take it to their next workplace or tell a family member and all that. And by the way, this isn't sitting around a campfire singing Kumbaya, right?
Yeah.
Like company culture is not like all hugging it out. Like sometimes it's, hey, I'm going to hold you accountable because I know you're better than what you want. And I know that about you because you've told me your personal goals. Yeah. And by golly, I'm going to get you to your personal goals. And this business is going to be an instrument for it. So sometimes accountability is kind of the tether to a good company culture.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you believe that or not, it's okay. You have a company culture. I mean, that's it. I've got a friend of mine, he has a business and I swear when I walk in, I feel like I'm training with the Navy SEALs. Like they are very militant in their culture. And I'm like, okay, that's their culture. It's not my culture, but dude, whoever works there, if they walk in and they dig that, dude, they are going to fit in great over there. But I felt like I was going to need to drop and do 10 push-ups the second I walked in the building. I was like, dude, but anyway, yeah, it's just always been important to us. And it's an ingredient that everybody should take in, especially as we have 4 people in our workforce now, generations, meaning 4 generations in our workforce.
Wow. Okay. And why are you so bullish, or why have you said so many good things about Gen Z? I've heard that from you, that you like Gen Z, that you said, they've got some pros in a world that honestly likes to just bash Gen Z. So what's your experience with that?
Yeah. So I got to tell you, I was impartial to it. Now I want to be clear. I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
So like before I learned this, it was all about me. And I was wondering where my damn participation trophy was, right? So, but I got to tell you, I met this awesome guy named Jason Dorsey at a conference. He and his wife own this generational research firm and just dug into so much data. And it was a paradigm shift about how I viewed the workforce. And he wrote an awesome book. Actually, it's back here called Z Economy, an awesome book. And it shined a light that showed, wow, we are misinterpreting the largest now workforce coming into our industry, which we need people. right?
Yeah.
We're losing people in the trades. So, and it started to make me realize, oh, we just don't know how to communicate with Gen Z. And,
Yeah.
still to this day, like I misuse cap, no cap, and Riz, and I don't even know what half those stuff that stuff means. But like, let's frame it real quick. Statistically, and this is proven, Gen Z has higher credit scores and more savings than most millennials. When I say that, that blows people's mind. But
Yeah.
if you look at it, it's like most Gen Zs were raised out of a post 0809 recession economy. They saw their parents struggle, and they saw the like student loan debt mounting up and all that. So, when you really dive into that, they actually have insanely good financial like understanding. They may not fully understand it, but how valuable money is, but also work ethic. And there's a reason they're the side kind of hustle culture is because, man, they saw their parents not be able to rely on a 30-year job, right? So we try to harness that. And it is funny. We do play this game in our company. If you got multi-generations in your company, have fun with it. But we'll get somebody from Gen Z out and be like, all right, Stacy, answer honestly. What is a burnt CD? And we just let them kind of sit with that. And, they don't know, what's a collect call? And it's so fun because they'll reverse it and do the same thing for us old fogies.
Yeah.
But, I've got a great employee that her name is Brooke, and little side quest here. She's worked in my call center. She's a monster. Like she can book like appointments like nobody's business. She makes over 100 calls a day.
Wow.
And she told me, she goes, Will, like the phone lines are down. And in my business, that's a big problem. So I ran over to the phone and I was like, I called it from my cell phone and it rang, picked up. I heard the echo. And then I was like, oh, cool, false alarm. So I get about 10 feet away and she's like, Will, they're back down. And I'm like, all right, hold on, put it on speaker and show me what you did. And she called and it was a busy signal on the other side. Now, she had never heard a busy signal. It was just that noise. And she goes, I thought the phone lines were down. I was like, no, that means you called somebody. Still, I don't know how they exist, but they have a landline and they don't have call waiting. That just, you're on the other call. Call back in 10 minutes. But it like never comprehended me that this 23-year-old had never heard a busy signal.
Yep.
And, if you can look past the norms, of just what we title as society and say, how do I get the best out of this individual? Just knowing that they're going to view the world different.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's really about. And dude, 62% of my company is Gen Z. I love it. It's so cool.
Wow. And tactically, you said it's a communication thing. Tactically, how are y'all communicating differently with those people than maybe the older people in your company?
Well, it's funny. It's kind of, I'll reference The Office, where the show, The Office, to be clear, where the intern created the woof system, where if somebody sent a text, it simultaneously sent a fax and an email and then made a phone call. So like we have found like through employee employee surveys, we asked like, how would you like to be communicated with? And it was across the board diversified between face-to-face, email, text message, Slack, all sorts of things. So now like when we communicate as leaders in the company, we number one have to repeat ourselves over and over and over again. And it can feel like a broken record, but we're not retaining everything that we hear even through this podcast. So we have to repeat ourselves, and then we have to create availability of that message and as many platforms as possible at the disposal of the employee. So yes, we have AI libraries that they can access from their phone. We have Slack. We have a company interactive database. And by the way, before anybody freaks out, this stuff is not expensive. We have like a learning management system that costs like $25 a month. And we have our Google Drive. And so it's not crazy, but we try to, like material safety and data sheets that we need in construction. Most companies would be like, here's your binder. It's a 3-ring binder that's that thick. And it's like, read this, or if you need something, just pull it out of this. Dude, who the hell's going to look at that, bro? I mean, like, it's covered in dust. It's already sitting behind the seat in the truck. Nobody knew it was back there for 10 months. So like being able to create an online resource on your mobile device that they can access through Slack, which Slack is free in most versions, and just put it there and people can use. We tacked in an AI bot to our Slack this last year. It's $20 a month. And they can literally go, hey, how do I know where the material safety data sheets are for XYZ? And it'll go through our Slack, pull it, and give it to them. It's just so cool because I would have never thought of that until, one of our employees, 25 years old said, hey, by the way, I tried this at home. It's pretty cool. You should try it. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Okay. That's really interesting to me. I mean, I like how you are not taking the just the typical approach of like, oh, Gen Z, they're the worst, whatever. Because I love this quote. I think it's by Seneca or something, but it's basically about how like, oh, somebody said something about this generation's gonna like ruin the world and all this stuff. And like you post it on Facebook and people are like, oh yeah, they're talking about this generation. And then like the kind of the sub headline is like, this was said 1,000 years ago. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
people
that's
have been saying
exactly
this
it.
for
Yeah,
years.
it's natural for one generation to always hate on the one below them, right? And it's just, it's like Gen Xers. I got a lot of Gen Xers in my company too. They're the worst. And I say that because they're hard workers, but they're the ones that ruined Woodstock for all of us. They're the ones that set the place on fire. And it's like, bro, like you guys think you're the greatest generation because you work hard and you're introverted and you know how to work on computers and you know how to work with your hands, but you ruined Woodstock for all of us. Like there's no more Woodstocks because of Gen X. It's man.
I was
Anyway.
going to say it earlier. I was going to say, although you're decades removed from your rock star vibe, I still feel it. I still feel it through your aura. I can still feel the rock star vibe. So that's good.
Well,
That's
thanks, bro.
for you.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to segue into, we talked a lot about employees. I wanted to segue into performance pay, into performance.io. How did this come about? I'm guessing that you probably were using some sort of, ad hoc spreadsheet to do it in the beginning. And then you're like, I can make this a business. So tell us about it.
Yeah. So it's funny. Performance pay has been a hot buzzword in the trades, from, the home service expert Facebook groups to all sorts of CRM owners only groups. But it's been around a long time. Sydney and I have done performance pay for 16 plus years in our business. In a lot of industries, it's been around since the beginning. So let's just break down what it is first. Performance pay is meant to address a few major problems, not only in our business, but society. So number one, a company's most variable cost in their day-to-day business is labor. If you can't control the labor of cost of goods sold, like one month you may kill it, but the next one you lost money because labor just went through the roof. So performance pay is a way to encourage behavior to allow an employee to know where the threshold is. And most companies are not very good at saying, this is the threshold. The other thing that it solves by not just controlling labor, but it also rewards the employee. And specifically, we're talking about W-2 self-perform employees. It rewards them when they do well in the business. It's not just like, hey, you did great last week. Here's a pizza party. Because studies have shown culture will help, but when it really comes down to it, money is a driving force in the decision for where we work. Heck, look around. There's people miserable in their jobs every day, but they're there because they need the money. Right? Yeah. So performance pay is something we've always done. Now moving into modern day era, we always did it on spreadsheets. And the problem with that is the employee, while they're working hard and doing well, they weren't a part of the result on the spreadsheet. So they couldn't see that information readily available to them. And I want to be very clear, like we pay really well in our market, but when our crews or our salespeople or employees, we're under budget to what we had predicted in the company. Like, yeah, take the difference. We want to reward you for that. So trying to figure out that number in their head, and to be clear, like most of our employees, like this is the only computer they have. So they don't have spreadsheets on their cell phone.
Yeah.
So I created an application 3 years ago that was actually meant to be a budgeting app. It was like a banking app. It just said, hey, this is what we budgeted for your role and your actions, like your jobs. And as the employee clocks in, it slowly shows them what's left over. And it also calculates their dollar per hour rate, which is really important because now it's not just, here's my time cards, we'll figure out what's on my paycheck next week. It's like, no, they know exactly what's on their paycheck before they even submit their time card, and they're rewarded for the actions. And it's just so cool just making that. Fast forward now with over 750 crews across the country using it. It's like, heck yeah, man. I love it because it's also satisfying a need in construction to attract better labor because now they can pay more for the talent that is out there, which is helping them attract more people and help grow their business.
Wow. Okay. And so what are the things that y'all are tracking that y'all are looking for to increase their pay or their based on their performance? Is it like time on the job? Is it, certain accolades? What are y'all looking at to measure what they'll get paid?
Yeah. So if we're talking about frontline employees first, these are folks that are on the job installing products for customers. There's some type of unit of measure that dictated the price on that job. So for example, like for many companies, when the people walk on the job, it may be a percentage of the sale price. That's the budgeted labor for it. It's very common in concrete and fencing to see that company's budget, say 15% in labor. And now the employee can see, oh, the company budgeted 15%. And so as they're working, they can see, oh, if I make better decisions, whatever's left over, I'm going to put that in my pocket for performance pay. Other companies do it by billable hour. The company is budgeted 100 man hours on this. Well, if we can see that we can get this done in 80 budgeted man hours, well, we can make more. So that's where it helps on the business side, is setting incentive thresholds that the employee can very clearly see, because they'll never hit a target that they don't have. And that's where we mess up a lot with bonus and incentive programs. Is it's kind of like a carrot and a stick, or that, I think it was an insurance commercial where the guy, had a fishing rod with $1 on the end. He's like, oh, I got you $1.
Oh, you almost had it. You got to be quicker than that.
And that's what bonus incentive plans are. They're kind of like locked away in somebody's computer in a spreadsheet, and the employee doesn't know what actions can improve that or not. So setting those incentive sets are very important first. The second one is this: when an employee makes some type of performance pay, it needs to translate into a few different values. Number one, can I see it right here and right now? Number two, what does that mean to my hourly rate? Did my hourly rate go up to $30 an hour compared to my 24-hour base? Am I at $40 an hour? So a good case study is like most of my production field employees, they make on average about $20 to $25 an hour base rate, but they're making over $47 an hour on average because they can see it. And that's money going back into our communities. That's money going into their families and their households and all that. And my labor's still the same. And studies have shown this. Like when we talk about performance pay, if you are doing a performance pay system on a spreadsheet, I want to be very clear. Market Share did a study. Speaking of Gen Z, 49% of Gen Z check their bank account more than once a day.
Wow.
And 19% of them check it more than 5 times a day. So if you don't think they're wondering what the hell they're going to make in their bonus incentive plan, they're literally trying to get a read on it every day. We see it through user data at Performance that they're logging into our system 6-7 times a day to see, hey, what did I make today? Because I worked my butt off. Did I make more money? And things like that. And it's just such a cool thing to see, because these are hardworking individuals that normally would be like, man, I'm going to make $20 an hour working here in the hot sun. But now I'm making like $35 an hour consistently, and I'm going to buy a house, or I'm going to buy a truck. I'm going to take my family on a vacation. So that's what gets me up in the morning with performance.io is like, not only are we helping the businesses, but dude, socially, we are helping individuals and families. And dude, it gets me fired up. So
no, man, you got me fired up about it right now. I think that's awesome for someone who is out there in the hot sun to see that, hey, I'm out there working my ass off and I am getting more than the original agreed upon, because I am working so hard and I am doing such a good job. And so that's got me fired up. And I think too, like a little bit off topic with personal finance, but like that's why I don't really believe what Dave Ramsey says anymore about how people spend more money with a card than with cash, because I'm the way, like, if I've got cash, I'm like, this is fake, but I check my credit card and my bank account all the time. And so when I swipe that card, I see it in the bank account, whereas like the cash isn't in the bank account. And so I'm like, it's free money, get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, to be clear about like money in your bank account from a digital perspective, it's also more secure there, right? So there's repercussions if, somebody, double swipes at the gas station. It's like, no, wait, I can flag that transaction.
Yeah.
If they didn't count it with cash, it's like, oh, that's gone. I can't go back, and they're not going to replay the video for me, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the world we're living in. So it's kind of like, we got to get on the boat. And that's what's so cool about Performance. There is a page on our end user side. It's called a metrics page. And this page allows the employee to look back as far as they can, as long as they've been in our system, to see what their performance pay trends have been. And then it gives them an average trend about their pay, what it is, and whether or not it's going up or down. And that page went down earlier this year because we were doing a code update, and I didn't think a lot of people looked at it. But within an hour, we received about 65 phone calls from people all over the country saying, hey, my metrics page is down. And I started to finally get smart after like 7 or 8 calls. It was just like, hey, it's a small bug. We'll push an update in an hour. Some of them were talking to their spouse about their family planning and whether or not they need to purchase, that auto repair, or if they need to pay for something for their kids' school. And that was a very powerful tool for them. And I didn't realize the value there. It was also helpful because, a competitor may come knocking and be like, hey, I'll pay you $5 more an hour. And they were looking at their phone and they're like, oh, cool. So you're going to pay me $47 an hour? And the competitor's like, whoa, wait a minute. I meant like
that.
Yeah, $27 an hour. And it's like, well, I'm making 47.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that metrics page was so important to my customers is like it's
Yeah.
showing them in real time, what am I making? And that's what employees want. That's all employees want. Just tell
Yeah.
me what I'm making.
Yeah. That had to be such a cool feeling to see all those people that, might not have talked to before checking your page on your software. I bet that was
Mhm.
pretty awesome. But so one thing I want to touch on. So let's say from a business owner perspective, we sign up with Performance.io. Walk me through, we go through the onboarding, everything gets set up. Walk me through what's the result these businesses are normally seeing, 6 months, a year down the road for the business. Is it increased performance or, what are they looking to measurably, see as the impact?
Yeah, so we actually just pulled some of these numbers last week because we've been through quite the little growth spurt, and I haven't checked it since last August. So let's take a company that doesn't have a performance-based pay system or incentive program. So those companies typically see anywhere between a 12 to 18% increase in output. So let me frame that. If you have one truck with one person installing $100,000, we're seeing them now the next month or two start to install anywhere between 112 to 118,000.
Wow.
Same people, same trucks, same tools, that much of an increase. If they already have an incentive program, just by putting it in their hand, we still see an increase anywhere between 8 and 12% in productivity. So this isn't just install volume per month. This is like dollars generated per man hour, all of that. The labor decrease that we're seeing on average is 5.2%. So if the labor was here, we've now gotten better results, but now our direct labor is down, giving us more money to spend in marketing and things like that. What I really love is the average dollar per hour rate per employee is now up above $13.70. So the employees are giving themselves over $13 in raise on average, and that's going to their houses, that's going to pay down debt, that's going to all sorts of cool things. So when I look at those are some of the metrics that I'm looking at, and I feel when I read those they're overstated because I'm like, wait a minute, really? So we had to go back and triple check, and because they were going to use this in marketing and stuff like that. But yeah, year to date, this recording, of course, in October, we've processed, or through our system at least documented, over $6 million in performance pay bonuses to our users this year through our system. So that's $6 million that's going back out into the community somewhere. And those are employees that are going to stay in that business because they're making good money. And dude, that just gets me up in the morning. It's cool.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And so do these business owners come to you basically saying like, hey, we've got 100 jobs a month and we've got, just for easy math, 10 guys, and like they are, working as much as they possibly can, they think, or like, and we have to get another truck. We got to get another crew. And then instead they sign up with Performance.io. And so are you seeing that they're not having to hire anymore and they're getting more out of their current people?
Yeah. My customers typically fall in three categories. Let's go with that first one is they think they need more trucks to increase revenue rather than what we do need to do is sharpen the saw. And, we see this a lot in companies where it's like marketing and sales, just keep marketing and sales. But, at my core, I'm an ops guy. I like to say marketing and sales is for the show, but production and operations is for the dough. That's where you make your money. Right.
Yeah.
So by piling on bodies and trucks is not going to make you more profit. So we have to be efficient. So those individuals, we typically see that they go down in size or they don't need to expand with all the capital investment to buy new trucks and decals and tools and all of that. So because now their trucks are getting more, in some cases, almost double, out of that. So that's the first customer. The other one is, I love my guys. I just want to give them more, but I don't know if I can afford it. And I think most home service companies, they're like this. They've done the work, so they naturally have an empathy for the people in the field that are doing the work. It's like, even me, like I worked in dirt crawl spaces full of mud and things like that my younger days, and heck, up until like a few years ago still. And like, I respect those individuals. And a lot of us as business owners, they don't think like, man, can I give a raise or something like that? This is a way to do that without cutting off more of your profit to be able to reward employees, and especially the ones that are really good. You don't want them to leave you, right? So reward them for their hard work because they see it if somebody's not picking up the slack with or without a performance system. The third one is culture. Like, I love my people, but we need to have more of a results driven culture. And like, we clearly want to articulate what our goals and targets are, and we're going to make it and put it in their hand. And those customers, they all have different motivations, but those are things that I address every day with not only business owners, but the front line.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. And how do y'all, so we talked about like the crews out in the field, but I know that y'all help with more than just the crew members out in the field, the people that are actually doing the installs and stuff like that. So how does your software help with the other departments in the business?
Yeah, so it's interesting. You probably seen this with Review Harvest. Like you finally get to the point where your product starts to get used in weird ways by people,
Yeah.
and you didn't really think about it. So we actually have seen users or companies start to use this as a way to incentivize and bonus their managers, their call center people, and their salespeople. And it's very common in home services that with salespeople that do estimates, they are paid some type of commission and varying upfront and back end commissions. Some get salary and then draws, and that becomes very difficult to track. So we've brought all of that in house with our product, but also Brooke that I mentioned before about the whole busy signal. You know, if she hits so many appointments within a week, she gets a bonus. But now she can see, man, I'm so close. When do I cross that threshold? So what used to take her 5 days to hit her threshold, she's now hitting it in 3 days. So because she sees it, man, she wants to get to that line as much as possible. So being able to give at the end result is, like I mentioned before, employees just want to know what they're making, no matter who they are. Heck, owners of the businesses and home service companies, we just want to know what we're making. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. Maybe that's performance 2.0 is like, it's just the owners. But, you know, with that being said, like, we're very clearly defining the incentive sets so they can see where it is. And it's cool because we've seen people do this with their warehouse people, delivery drivers, route salespeople. I just saw the other day a company in Birmingham, Alabama was using it for their door-to-door salespeople and tracking commissions through that. And it's like, oh, cool. I never knew that, but they're using it in this unique way. And so that's allowed us to kind of take their feedback and build new features.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And kind of the last thing I wanted to touch on before we close out was your work with your nonprofit. I mean, honestly, I feel like a lot of the work that you're doing, you might not even see the fruits of it, but you're helping future people in the contractor, in the construction industry, you know, get some of these kids to know that they don't have to go to college, right? So I think it's called Construct My Future, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's funny. Our purpose with Construct My Future is to educate and inspire about the career opportunities in the trades. So we don't want to discourage anybody from going to college or not, because there are some students that come through our programs that will clearly be engineers. I mean, it's like, go be an engineer because you're going to build our bridges someday. But we know that there's going to be a workplace shortage. And this is a combination of a few different things. We are in a population static decline right now. We have a very large group of cohorts coming in the form of Gen Z and now soon to be Gen Alpha. And we are going to be competing against a smaller group of individuals across all industries than we ever had before, especially with the age out numbers that are coming in through the workforce development reports. So there's a few things here. Like we need to start at a very early age educating on the opportunities. And so we have several programs. We have a middle school summer camp program, which is what our program started. So we take a week and 100 students at a time. We teach them about electrical, welding, HVAC. We do heavy equipment. They run a machinery. It's just awesome. Welding is the coolest because the parents at home, they don't have this stuff, nor would they ever let these kids like actually use it. So, you know, back to generational differences, Gen Alpha is going to save construction, to be clear.
Really?
This group, this generation of students, they have literally lived out of any other generation. They've had a device in their hand since they could hold it. Like even Gen Z didn't have that, but Gen Alpha does. So now when we put something tactile in their hands, this thing goes away real quick. So if you think Gen Alpha is always on their phone, when you put a power tool in their hand, they are blown away. They're like, wait a minute, I can create something with what was previously deemed as unsafe, and you're going to let me create something? It is like, let's go.
Yeah.
And it is awesome. So the program, the Construct My Future camp systems are funneling students through. We did that in Oklahoma City. 2026, we'll have camps in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Houston, possibly Dallas next year. Also, our high school internship program. So we have high school interns that are through their elective classes. They're leaving school and going to paid internships on job sites with certified internship industry parts. So they're working in a craft and they're getting paid for it. We did this last year. 80% of the students in our program, high school internship program, were given written job offers by the companies that they work with in the internship. So it's cool. Rather than having a signing for somebody getting a scholarship at a school to play football, we literally had a signing day where they were signing their job offer to work with a commercial construction company. It was like, yeah, bro, let's go.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and so we also will have a 1-day event called Construction Rodeo where high school students from all sorts of school systems will come in for an immersive just 1-day training or experience, and that's really taken off as well. But yeah, I didn't think it would be what it is today when we started this. I just knew that I could bitch about it or I could be a part of the solution, right? And as you can tell, like my construction company, my consulting, my nonprofit, my software is all around home services, because from a social perspective, like if there's nobody around to fix our structures and our homes and our businesses, dude, we are in trouble, man. And the only people that will be able to afford that are super wealthy or rich, while all of us are sitting here looking on YouTube trying to do something dangerous on our house when, it should be a licensed guy that can work with gas lines, something like that. So like that's where my passion and my purpose is to, help be a part of the solution for trade.
Yeah. Man, I love it. I love your optimistic viewpoint about everything. That's so refreshing. I feel like there's a lot of people that are too pessimistic. And like you said, you're like, I can either sit here and bitch about it or I can do something about it. And
Yeah, bro.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Well, we're gonna have all of Will's information for performance.io, for Construct My Future, for Vesta. Everything will be linked down below in the show notes. Also, we'll try and grab that book that you mentioned earlier. Grab that and put that in the show notes as well. But thanks so much for hopping on. Any closing words for somebody that might be trying to, grow their home service business and might be struggling?
Yeah. Well, first off, if you made it this far through the podcast, kudos to you. And yeah, hit me up
At least 3
directly.
of them.
I know, right? Yeah. Hit me up at either my website, performance.io here. I answer all of those messages that come through that website. I have free resources on that website for gross profit margin calculators, to interview guides, to how to recruit for your construction business. I love to give those out free. So hit me up on there, and, or LinkedIn. And, I would love to talk to you guys. I just met with that company in New York yesterday. I don't even know if they're going to be a customer of mine, but dude, I just love to talk shop and help people. So, and if you're out there listening, man, hit me up, and I'd love to see what I can do for you.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thanks for hopping on, Will. Have a good one.